the depths of your psyche exist ancient patterns that predate time itself. These are not mere thoughts or feelings, but primordial forces, archetypes that shape your inner world and ripple outward into your choices, your story, your destiny. Carl Gustav Jung described them as the living, autonomous content of the collective unconscious. Today, we begin our journey into this hidden architecture, exploring four principal archetypes: the persona, the shadow, the anima, animus, and the self. You will move past the surface to meet these invisible companions, reclaiming their power and understanding the profound impact they have on your life. We start with the mask that you wear every day, the persona. It is your social costume and survival tool, the way you adapt to expectations and norms. The persona can be thoughtful, ambitious, reliable, even heroic, but left unchecked, it becomes a prison. People may admire your mask, but your authentic self can atrophy behind it. When the mask loosens, when isolation or crisis strips it away, you might feel emptiness, anxiety, or identity loss. That's when the persona is revealed as not you, but something you learned to be. Next lies the shadow, the reservoir of everything you rejected in yourself. Anger, envy, lust, vulnerability, traits society or your upbringing labeled unacceptable. The shadow isn't inherently malevolent. It is energy unrecognized, aspects of your psyche yearning to be reclaimed. Ignored, it emerges through self-sabotage, addictive patterns, unreasoned cynicism, or sudden outbursts. But integrated consciously, it becomes a powerful ally, a source of authenticity, courage, and creative intensity. Shadow work is not suppression, it is embracing authenticity. In the depths of transformation emerge the anima and animus, your inner feminine and masculine souls. Originating from early relationships with maternal and paternal figures, these archetypes carry emotional depth, strength, intuition, logic, creativity. A man disconnected from his anima may feel emotionally numb or led by reactivity. A woman who neglects her animus may lack decisive clarity or self-directed purpose. Integration demands balance, acknowledging your inner counterpart and allowing it to guide you, creating a psyche that is complete, fluid, and whole. At the heart of this system stands the self, the archetype that represents unity, wholeness, and transcendence. The self is not an ego identity, but a unifying principle that harmonizes all aspects of psyche. Jung depicted the self through mandalas and circular symbols, representing balance amidst dualities, symbolizing the full integration of all layers: persona, shadow, anima, animus. The path toward individuation, the unique psychological journey, is guided by the self, inviting you to become the whole being you are meant to be. Now, archetypes speak in symbolic language, dreams full of metaphors, emotions that rip through your mind, sudden synchronicities that may seem like coincidence but resonate with destiny. When your inner archetypes stir, you experience uncanny déjà vu, recurring dreams, creative breakthroughs, or intuitive warnings. These moments are not accidents. They are the psyche tapping you on the shoulder, reminding you to pay attention, to dive deeper, to listen. As you proceed on this journey, you will encounter mythic figures in your own psyche: the hero, the wise old man or woman, the great mother, the trickster. Each is a facet of your inner drama, each bearing gifts and dangers. The hero invites you to face your trials, to prove your mettle. The wise old man offers wisdom, insight, and a perspective that transcends egoic drama. The great mother nurtures and protects, but warns against dependency. And the trickster emerges to challenge your complacency, to awaken transformation through disruption. In modern life, archetypes manifest through roles, relationships, addictions to success, or cycles of self-doubt. You may adore a popular figure because they embody your unintegrated shadow. You may chase perfection because your inner critic demands it. Yet the same strength you punish is the act of virtue when recognized and honored. To navigate this territory, begin with self-reflection. Spend time in silence. Write down recurring themes in your dreams or the reactions you feel in encounters with others. Ask yourself, what parts of me awaken when I praise or condemn another person? What recurring emotion or image shows up in my mind's eye when I close my eyes to think? Then engage the archetypes in creative expression. Write dialogues as if the shadow is speaking to the persona. Paint, draw, or create movement for your anima or animus. Sit in meditation and observe dreams unfold in mental images. In these acts, you begin to build a culture of inner listening, a relationship with each layer of your psyche. Individuation is not a solitary heroic act. It is a mystical process that happens when psyche aligns with self. It can feel like a pilgrimage through inner wastelands, through ruins of conditioned identity, to uncover your soul's destiny. But the rewards? Authentic purpose, inner harmony, compassion for your own darkness, and a capacity to live as a coherent, creative being in your world. Take heart. This journey will challenge you. You will mourn your projected certainties. You will fear the voices you asked society to hide. You will face the chaos of not knowing who you are beneath it all. And yet, you will emerge more you than you have ever known. You will walk among the archetypes, not as a victim, but as a conscious steward of your inner world. But beware. To understand archetypes is not to control them. They are not tools you wield. They are energies you must enter our relationship with. When you try to master them from the ego, they respond with chaos. But when you approach them with humility, they open doors to transcendent wisdom. This is the paradox at the heart of Jung's work. Your mind is not a machine. It is a temple, a mythological landscape, a living cosmos. Let us descend further. The hero archetype, perhaps the most culturally idolized, does not only belong to those who conquer external obstacles. The true hero is the one who dares to confront the inner dragons, fear, shame, grief, the wounds of the past. Most people imagine the hero's journey as glamorous, filled with triumphs and praise. But in the psychological realm, it is often the opposite. Isolation, confusion, and the death of everything you once believed about yourself. The hero begins as the fool, naive, unaware, often broken. They are called not by ego, but by something deeper, a dream, a betrayal, a loss. This call usually arrives through suffering. That's why depression, anxiety, and existential emptiness can be sacred, because they are the cracks through which the hero's journey begins. And the first threshold? The confrontation with the shadow. The shadow appears as what you fear most in yourself. It may show up in projection, in the person you most hate, the trait you criticize, the ideology you mock. Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. The world is your mirror, and your enemies may be your greatest teachers. To meet the shadow is to walk into darkness without a map. It may feel like madness. You may feel disgusted by what you find, your envy, your rage, your self-loathing. But if you can hold gaze with the shadow, without judgment, something alchemical begins. You extract the gold hidden inside the dirt. This is the process Jung called integrating the shadow. It does not mean becoming perfect, it means becoming whole. The integrated shadow becomes your protector, your fire, your authenticity. Without it, you remain split, living only in the socially acceptable image, dying quietly behind your mask. Once the shadow has been acknowledged, the path leads deeper, to the anima or animus. These are your inner guides to emotional and intuitive depth. For men, the anima is the feminine soul within. Emotional, receptive, creative, mysterious. For women, the animus is the masculine soul within. Assertive, structured, rational, visionary. When undeveloped, these forces wreak havoc. The anima becomes seductive, moody, manipulative, drawing a man into fantasy and emotional immaturity. The animus becomes opinionated, cold, and tyrannical, driving a woman to harsh self-judgment and intellectual rigidity. But when integrated, they offer the bridge to wholeness. The anima softens the male heart, allowing empathy, connection, artistic brilliance. The animus empowers the female soul, offering courage, purpose, clarity. Jung believed that many relationship problems stem from the projection of the anima or animus onto a partner. You fall in love not with the person, but with your own soul reflected in their eyes. This creates obsession, disappointment, betrayal, not because love is a lie, but because you haven't claimed your own inner lover. To withdraw projections and reclaim your inner feminine or masculine is to stop demanding completion from another. Only then can you love freely, not from lack, but from abundance. And finally, beyond all archetypes stands the self, the center that holds everything together. The self is not your personality. It is not your ego. It is not your social role. It is the wholeness of who you are, conscious and unconscious, masculine and feminine, light and shadow, human and divine. You may glimpse the self in dreams, a wise old figure, a glowing child, a luminous animal, or a mandala that pulls you into stillness. You may feel it in moments of deep alignment, when time stops and you feel fully, undeniably you. These are moments of self-activation, when the deeper intelligence of your psyche reveals itself. But they are rare, fleeting. To live from the self is not a permanent state, it is a sacred pursuit. This is the journey of individuation, the process of becoming yourself. Not the self your parents wanted, not the self society conditioned, but your true self. The one that whispers beneath the noise, that longs to be lived before death claims your body. Individuation is not selfish. In fact, it's your highest responsibility. Because when you are fragmented, you perpetuate trauma, repeat old patterns, and project your wounds onto others. But when you are whole, you become a force of healing in the world. You radiate clarity. You offer presence. You break generational chains. This path demands everything from you. You must die to who you were. You must walk into your pain. You must question your beliefs, grieve your false identities, and risk everything for authenticity. But what you gain is a life that feels like truth. You no longer live to please. You no longer chase empty goals. You live from center. From soul, from self. This process cannot be rushed. There are no shortcuts. It unfolds in spirals, not straight lines. One day you may feel awake, centered, alive, whole. The next you fall back into chaos. This is normal. Healing is not linear. Growth is not tidy. You are not a project to fix, but a mystery to honor. Jung wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." This is the essence of his message. Your outer world reflects your inner world. Change begins inside. So start paying attention. Track your dreams. Listen to the voice beneath your thoughts. Follow your intuition. Write down the stories you tell yourself. Look into the eyes of those you judge and ask, What part of me lives there? This is the real revolution, not changing the world, but changing your relationship to yourself. Because when enough people do this, the world does change. This is the path of the archetypes. This is the return to your soul. But Jung's work doesn't stop at awareness. It goes deeper. Awareness is only the beginning. Once you become conscious of your inner fragmentation, your next task is to begin the process of integration. This is what Jung called individuation, the lifelong journey of unifying all aspects of the psyche, including those we've repressed, denied, or misunderstood. The shadow is central to this process. For Jung, the shadow is not evil by default. It contains qualities that are morally neutral, raw, undeveloped, emotionally intense. In fact, some of your greatest strengths may be hidden in your shadow. Repressed creativity, suppressed passion, buried ambition, all can live there, waiting for your recognition. So, how do you work with the shadow? First, by noticing your reactions. Every time you are deeply triggered by someone or something, ask, what part of me is being reflected here? Jung taught that what we reject in others often mirrors something unresolved within us. When you resent someone's arrogance, is it because you've been taught to suppress your own confidence? When you envy someone's freedom, is it because you've locked yourself in a life of pleasing others? These are not accusations, they're invitations. The shadow wants to be acknowledged, not destroyed. It knocks on the door of your awareness through projections, dreams, anxieties, obsessions, compulsions. Every emotional overreaction is a signal that something inside you has not been seen. And here's the paradox. When you face what you fear within yourself, it loses its power over you. Integration doesn't mean perfection, it means wholeness. It means standing in the middle of your light and darkness without denying either. This inner balance gives birth to true strength. You are no longer governed by invisible forces. You are no longer trapped in cycles of unconscious behavior. You begin to act from a deeper place, a place of clarity, authenticity, and inner alignment. Most people never reach this stage. They run from discomfort. They numb pain with distractions. They suppress the voice of the unconscious with constant noise, scrolling, comparing, achieving. But the shadow waits, patient, unmoving, because your inner work cannot be outsourced. No one else can meet your shadow for you. Jung emphasized that the cost of not doing this work is high. What you avoid will find other ways to express itself, through failed relationships, sabotaged goals, chronic dissatisfaction, anxiety, and depression. The psyche demands wholeness, and if you refuse to integrate what lies within, it will rebel. That rebellion might look like illness, addiction, or breakdown. But beneath the chaos lies a hidden order, the unconscious mind crying out for harmony. It's not easy. Shadow work can be terrifying. You'll encounter the parts of yourself you were taught to hide: rage, jealousy, selfishness, lust, sadness, the craving for power, the hunger for love. But these are not signs of your brokenness. They are signs of your humanity. Jung reminds us, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. That is the path. That is the real initiation. Because once you dare to look into your own darkness, you begin to understand everyone else's. Compassion deepens. Judgment fades. You no longer need to prove or perform. You simply are. And that is enough.